keep turning the thing until you feel stupid and realize, oh hey, I had an impact wrench. And this thing has a hex on the end of it. I could have just done it the quick and easy way. I was expecting more of a fight. Well, that hub puller worked exactly like it was supposed to. And that came off almost without a fight. So that was nice to have. As expected, full of spiders. I get this guy out of here. Swap it out with the new ones. Pads don't look terrible. Well, okay. I say they don't look terrible, but they feel terrible. There's a big, big dip. This one feels alright. Yeah, it sure feels alright. So I'm adding brake pads to this, I guess. Or I guess these are shoes because they're on drums. Great. Once more, the words from the guys on the forum come back to both haunt me and ring true. Just do all the brakes from basically pedal to hubs. Do them right the first time, and then you won't have anything to worry about. Yeah, this thing is just warped. You kind of see that it's not quite straight. Now this makes me wonder about the drums themselves. Plenty of meat on there, but it seems I might have to get these turned just a little bit. Smooth them out. It wasn't my intention just yet to take these backing plates off. I didn't want to go that far on this part just yet. Phase 1 of this build was just to get the thing running, driving, and stopping safely so I could spend a little bit of time enjoying the Jeep as it is. An old, beat up, I guess the phrase is, used hard and put up wet kind of Jeep. But, since I gotta take all this apart anyways, it might behoove me to just take it all apart, wire wheel it, clean it all up. Man, I wish I had a sandblaster, or I had a friend locally with a sandblaster. And just do it all right. At least this spring looks to be in good... yeah, it's not rusted or anything, so it looks to be in good shape, so one less part to buy. Don't know if it's just a layer of dust over them, but these wheel cylinders don't even look bad either. Maybe I should stop saying that, because every time I do, it turns out to be a rusty mess underneath something where it just breaks. Yep. We're gonna pretend we didn't see that and throw it away. It's freaking November. Why do I still have wasps everywhere? That one's just dead. He's just hanging out. Still got more work to do in here. Alright, so I don't quite have the right tools for this job. Fortunately, the internet's a wonderful place and it's told me that fact. I've seen a couple of guys take the standard 3/4 wrench and add a couple extra bends, that out a little bit more and this end down, to really get in here and hold that properly while you use your other specialty wrench that has a really narrow opening, so you can adjust this nut or hold this nut as it may be later on and adjust this with the other wrench. So that's going to be an interesting thing when it comes around, but just looking at this and how this little brass plate here fits in, you can start to understand that this nut holds everything in place, but this other one adjusts it in and out because it's kind of off-centered there. This part actually goes through the heel of the shoe here, so as you're spinning it's going to move this a couple different ways. Some of you watching this may find that kind of a standard duh type of thing, but for me, being the millennial I am, I've never really messed with this kind of stuff before, especially not brakes this old. I'm far more used to just rotors and calipers, which is, I guess, easier to follow than some of this stuff with all the crazy springs and such. These are at least simple. But yeah, this hadn't been so easy thus far. But I'm gonna go ahead and try to get this other ruined pad off. Clean this up just a little bit. The axle seal, surprisingly, doesn't seem to be leaking. So I think we'll just be cleaning this up, swapping out the crappy wheel cylinder for a nice shiny new one, and putting new pads on it, and we'll be done with it. Minus all the required bleeding and all that. As usually happens in November, the day went quick. Well, here's the situation on the brakes. For the keen-eyed among you who were watching that time lapse, you may have noticed that we put the pads on backwards. Why? We didn't really know any better. And the guy before us did the same thing. On the CJ2A, on the 9-inch brakes, the bigger pad is supposed to go in front and the smaller pad on the back. Now you know. Because now I also know, and I had to go look it up. So, saved you a Google search. So this was a first for me, of course. I probably mentioned that a few times in these videos. I had never had to replace a wheel cylinder before like that. It wasn't as bad as I thought. Leaked a little bit of brake fluid, but that's what they do. Never had to do pads before. That spring is treacherous. Be careful. There is a much better how-to video on these. I might throw the link in the description, but the G503 team does a really good video on adjusting these brakes. Tells you just what tools and everything you need. This side was just a little bit trickier. Kind of wish I'd done some before and after on this side, like I did on the other one. The pads on this side, they looked fine. They're about the same thickness, I guess, as the other ones were. They're a different brand. These are made in Canada, eh? Probably back in the 70s, if I had to guess. But yeah, these still had a ton of meat on them. Can't decide if I want to clean those up and keep them for some emergency use only, or just throw them away. But this side, same story. Yanked the drum. Again, we got really lucky with these hubs. They were not seized at all. Again, if you watch the time lapse, you saw that they just came right off. We didn't even have to hit this one with a hammer. My dad just spun it and it came right off. So this brake line was a bit weird though. It was pressurized where the other side was not. So I'm wondering if I've got some kind of contamination or a blockage in the lines. So that'll get to be a little bit of an adventure when we come to bleed them. But again, thick pad or bigger pad, I think it's 10 inches or so of braking surface, goes forward. The one that's like 6 3/8 goes on the back. You want more braking power on the front. Also, because it messed me up, I'll share the information with you. These rear ones are 3/4 inch wheel cylinders, and the front ones are 1 inch. Nowhere on these does it say 3/4. It's got this little S thing that looks like it says 5 foot. So that's not very helpful. The front ones have the same mark. It's a maker's mark, I guess, but at least they do say 1 inch. So had to pause for a second doing this job and figure out which ones were which. But I'm quite pleased. It's been a fun and interesting day. Learning a little bit about brakes. Yet another one of those. I've seen it done a few times, but I'd never actually attempted that on my own. Was just a little bit confused with this drum, because this is the little port where you put a feeler gauge through there and check your clearance. And it looks like there's a big old chunk missing out of it. On the other one, somewhere, yeah, there. Yeah, it's a little bit on the much smoother side, and I'm pretty sure that's how it's supposed to look. Sit, stay. So I'm really not sure. I mean, is this okay? It doesn't feel rough or sharp or anything. I guess it's okay. This is where it also gets a little bit interesting, because I believe this one that we pulled off the right side and that one which we pulled off the left side, I think they were flipped at some point. On the left side, it's supposed to have left-handed threads, left-handed lugs, so lefty-tighty, righty-loosey, backwards, because centrifugal force reasons, I think is what it was. Nowadays, they're all right-hand threads. This one is the only one that I've really looked that closely at, but this is the only one that looks like it's actually had all 5 wheel studs replaced. You can tell by the way it is. No, really, you can tell by the way that it looks like the swedge here has been drilled out and new ones have been put in, and the tool that they use to hammer these down to create a new, it's basically riveting these to the hub and the drum. It's different. As dark as it is, you can, I don't know if you guys can see, but this looks to be pretty original. You can see where there's no gap, but you can pretty clearly see where it's been mashed down. No, the wires escaped. Hang on. Yeah. And these pretty clearly has a good sized gap in a few of them. So I get the feeling this drum came from this side and they had the left hand lugs replaced with right hand lugs, and then somehow it meandered over there. Just a theory. I can never know for sure. So, meh, what's the point in guessing? At this point, I just want to make it right. So, I'm being too wordy again. I need to shut my word hole. But the next step is to take these 2 hubs to somewhere that's got a brake lathe. And I want to get them skimmed just to make sure the surface is nice and flat, because I have all new brake pads. Why start them out with an uneven wear pattern? So there's your tech tip. Do it right. If you're going to reuse your existing hubs and drums, go ahead. Take them to a place with a lathe and have them at least skimmed to make sure they're true and nice and smooth. Do it right from the start. Otherwise, you'll have to do it later because you were on the side of the road or you rear-ended someone because you couldn't stop, something like that. So just don't mess around with the brakes. Be safe.